new whatever. And we're live. They got me at the whatever part. So, which is funny. Hello, and welcome to Mandee Elam and Spirit Speaks with me. I'm Crystal. Mandee, hello. How are you? How was your Christmas?
Christmas was good. I had a rough Christmas Eve because I had a crazy flare up for like a fibromyalgia flare up and on my joints because I'm on the East Coast and we had that crazy like shift in temperature. So it went like a 50-degree difference within like 12 hours. And I was like, oh no, I'll be fine. I'll be good. And then all of a sudden it like hit me and I had my neck got crazy stiff. It was like, and I've broken my neck several times. So I have I only broke my neck once, but I broke my back in different places 3 times. And so all of a sudden it got really hard and I'm like, what is going on? And then I got this crazy headache and it felt like something was stabbing me through the eye. And then my whole body hurt. And I was like, oh my God, it's all this wacky pressure. And I was supposed to go to this like new moon dance party. I skipped that and went to bed. I'm like, this is not good.
There must be some crap afoot. Like, I'm gonna stop talking crap for a minute. Mandee and I are in a mood today, y'all. So I'm just gonna forewarn you before we start this. It must be energy, and we'll let Mandee get into that because I'm sure she knows. So hello, Terry, Emily, Glenda, Inga, Sophia, and Heather. Thank you guys so very much. We love you, and I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas too.
And there's something in on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is it on your Facebook?
It could be on my Facebook. I know they follow both of us. So it's not showing up on Sea Goddess today because something's going on with StreamYard, but hopefully it is on their YouTube. So the Sea Goddess people can still tune in. Hopefully that's the case. New Moon Dance Party. Yes, please, Sophia says.
Totally.
So Christmas Eve, it's funny because Christmas Eve was when I posted my new logo. And we all know the craziness that I've been dealing with over the past year and a half with Ben's people. And so somebody decided that they really hated my logo on New Year's Eve and were going hard. So we had to contact
Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve. Yes, literally spent the whole freaking night posting crazy comments, I'll just put it that way, on my Facebook. And it was really funny because we kind of did a little bit of digging in the moment. And we realized that these were all different, 28 different profiles. And every time I would block one profile, another one within 15, 20 minutes would pop back up. And we could see that. Okay. So we ended up having to contact a lawyer who is actually going to do some sleuthing and has the ability to do some forensics to find out who the actual owner of these profiles are, because we are getting to the point where it's like, look, you guys probably think you're creating conflict for me and Ben, but you're not. Because I'm stronger than that. It's not having the effect I think that they think it is. It just makes me sad for them.
It's really sad. My mind is like blown too. Like,
I'm like, bro, we're literally spending like, I got it. All this time. See, that's
like,
the
do
energy.
they pay for a service? Like, do you hire someone or a robo service to create 28 stalker profiles? Like, where? How?
Oh no.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, they went hard. They did. They went hard, which was fine. Like I said, it just kind of makes me, it's opening up my perspective to see that some people obviously are dealing with some serious mental issues. And I'm not saying that to be ugly or mean. I'm really not. Yeah. I'm saying if you've got that much hate in your heart against somebody that really has nothing to do with the situation at the whole, like, the only reason I think I get attacked sometimes is because they can't attack Ben. And so it comes on me because I have a public thing, and I think they're trying to prove that I'm not who I say. No, everybody who talks to me knows I'm a bitch sometimes. So I don't hide behind nothing. I say it to your face and I'll say it behind your back. Come at me and have the conversation. I tell people who I am. And so there's really no pretending when you come to me. And I just think it's really funny that I'm not sure what they're attempting to do, but I don't think it's working the way that they want it to, because I'm obviously not upset. So last night in my dreams, I was saving baby turtles with Paris Hilton. So I'm in a good place right now. Like, she's a wonderful person.
You went through some shit. She had to go to a crazy high school that they all got locked up in, supposedly, and abused really bad and stuff. They've all been through stuff. That crew. But supposedly, I think she talks openly about it. And Kat Von D, I think, went to the same school, the makeup artist.
Man.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that more.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Crystal, I did check and we're live on your Facebook on Spirit Speak, so that's perfect. And then we've got it going on YouTube too, and our homies found us because we were kind of worried. So yay, awesome. We're streaming on the Facebook. And also, like, yeah, look at all this. We should just read some of these comments because we've got some great comments coming in here.
It's other people, man. You having a time, y'all? Because we're having a time. And I'm not saying it's a bad time. It's just a time. It's fun. So Terry, Merry Christmas, beautiful girls. Hope it was an awesome one. It was for me. And I know Mandee already said that she had a good Christmas. We have Glenda. Hello, beautiful ladies. Hello, ladies. Hey, happy everyone had a Merry Christmas. Happy Monday. And hi. New Moon Dance Party once again from Sophia. I think that would be awesome, by the way. I'm in.
That's where I met. We used to, so if you're in a Atlantic City area or you just like following for fun, there's these new moon night markets we've been doing at the Anchor Rock Club, and they're literally on the new moon. So you have to look up the new moon calendar, and that's when it changes. And all summer, Ursula and I went, and some of the other sea goddesses, and we vended, and it was super fun. We couldn't do readings because it was way too loud, but it was a lot of fun. And it's actually where I met my boyfriend. Aww. He bought sage from me. Yeah, his name's Mo, and he bought sage from me like in the beginning of the summer. And I don't remember him. I didn't remember it.
He bought sage from you. I mean, like,
it was the first time I went to his house. He had one of these sea goddess ones. We got the little blue string on it, and it was like half burnt. And it was so funny because he bought sage because he was checking me out.
I was gonna say, how much do you want to bet? He was like, that chick right there, I like her, and I just want to carry on a conversation. Mandee, completely in her own sea goddess world, is like, oh, here you go. Here's a sage.
That was me. I was bossing it up all day. I'd worked at the restaurant all day. We had that event. I think we were preparing for like a farmer's market the next morning. And I was like in the mode. And so then I guess he said he gave me a hug goodbye and everything that night. And it was like, it was so nice meeting you. Thank you. And I guess I was just like, yeah, you too. See ya. And then a full moon 3 months later, we went to a party, which was super fun. The same group throws these beach raves on full moons.
Oh, man.
Amazing. And I'm talking like all of a sudden, all these kids show up. I'm like 36, or 37. I just turned 37, which I love about me. And I'm really enjoying my 30s. And so all these people show up, but mostly younger kids in their 20s. And they're like, oh, I got a generator. I got this speaker. I've got this light show, blah, 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 blah. And it's like all of a sudden there's like 300 or 400 people on the beach and amazing music. And it's very like eco-friendly. And they're walking around with trash cans and making sure everybody's like taking care of the earth, but having a great time. And it was super fun. And so I was there with a couple of our other friends. They know who they are. And we had a really good time. And then I re-met my boyfriend, Mo. He was like, hey, how's it going? I bought sage from you. And I was like, hey, awesome. And then from there it was great. And so we've been hanging lots, and he is a hottie. Thank you, Inga. I agree. And so it's just been really nice. And now we're like on our 4th moon. Now I'm counting it in moons.
And now see, like, I love that because I'm just gonna say, like, I've never met Mo, don't know Mo, only seen pictures, but he's got like the best energy. Like he radiates this sense of self and this understanding, and I don't know. I like him. I think he seems like a good person. I don't know. My head goes in places. It's just like I was like tangenting there. My ADHD apparently is kicking in. Sorry.
I love it. And I think he's a good person too. And so far, so good. So thanks for letting me share that with all of you guys. I thought that'd be fun. We don't usually talk about a lot of personal stuff, but that's what's rising for all of us right now. And Crystal and I in particular, we're very feisty today, but that's also, we're still in this Mars retrograde, which is very intense and very conflictive in many ways. And we're also in the middle of Mercury retrograde. So there's energies going on right now that represent conflict within ourselves, outside of ourselves. Today was my last day at my restaurant job that I worked at all summer. And I was only there part-time. And it was my first time going back to like a job in a while. And post-COVID, I was like, yeah, I can make some extra money. And it was just anything that could go wrong went wrong as far as the way this restaurant opened. Like I'm talking like this brand new restaurant that they were opening and they put all this money into and they had a full staff. They had everybody staffed and the GM passed away a week before we opened. Of a random, yeah. Then the night we opened, the head chef broke his leg. Then we had all this other staff happen and all this other weird, strange energy. And it also opened right in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. And so it's just been crazy. But the cool thing about it was I got to learn how much my body is healed. And like I had doctors telling me I was never going to walk again. There's no way you'll ever go work in a restaurant again. And like I love the restaurant industry. My brother's a chef and my family's really into it. And I could always see myself later on like having something. And I'm like, that's just so weird that like they're like, no, it's never going to happen for you. And like I had one surgeon tell me like that she only saw yoga heal one person and she thought that I was crazy to try it and that I needed surgery and stuff. And I'm like, no. And so I ended up healing my body so much. And then when I worked at this restaurant for the past like 6-8 months, however long it's been, I realized how much my body is healed. I realized I don't like the stress. I don't want to deal with all that all day. But I was running circles around 22-year-olds when I was told like there was times where I was never going to walk again or have the full function of my body and all kinds of stuff. And I certainly have my flare-ups. I certainly have my bad days. But for the most part, I keep healing. And that was the cool part I got to prove to myself. And these energies are rising, these conflictive energies. So when it was time for me to be like, nope, I'm done. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm going to start the new year back in full-time sea goddess mode. And it's going to feel great. And it's so important to follow that when that comes in. Because like today was my last day and it was like, it was like terrible. And we were so busy and it was so rough. And I'm like, this is just such confirmation of why I don't, why I'm ready to depart with it and why I'm allowing myself to. Because that's hard. It's hard to allow yourself to like let go of something, but trust me, it's awesome and it's rewarding.
I absolutely love that. I'm getting down on some comments again.
Let's get to the minutes.
I am going to highlight you, Ward, because I haven't seen you here yet. We've seen all the other ones, so thank you. Hello, Ward. I hope you stick around. Heather says, girl, I love this. Yes, we can. Girl, we can all be bitches from time to time. Yes, we can. And I am learning, like I told Mandee when we first like came on and we talk sometimes before we talk to you guys. I was like, I'm finding that balance. I'm getting to this place where, I don't know if this is like a white girl thing, but white girls being raised in family systems that say children should be seen and not heard. Shut up. We don't want to hear this. We don't want to experience this. And Crystal always had something to say about a lot of things, still do.
And those generations, like you're meant to be seen and not heard.
Right. And whatever. I'm not bringing that up for like family conflict reasons. It is what it is. And I understand. But at the same time, I also think that sometimes we incarnate into our family systems because we see and receive differently. And children, to me, specifically just by like, if you have children and really see them this way, they're teachers. Corey has taught me so much about being myself, more than I ever could have learned just by myself. My son has taught me, and he has been the most phenomenal teacher in understanding and compassion and empathy and all of the things. And I'm grateful that I understood that, but I can also understand generationally speaking. Not everybody of those different generations could understand those things. And so there were a lot of things I think that I had to say that nobody wanted to hear because it may have triggered them and triggered some of their thoughts and their feelings and their emotions and blah, blah, blah. And so it was just kind of like Crystal had to not say those things. And I'm learning that Spirit has given me a gift of being a wonderful mediator. And actually, it all came about because I started seeing a therapist once I moved here, because this was the craziest move I've ever experienced. And I was like, I need therapy. I need somebody to talk to, because
I'm so sorry to interrupt. We have a troll, and I was wondering if you could just handle that one.
Absolutely. Trolls away.
So I'm like,
yeah, we're gonna delete and block you guys, so you probably just shouldn't waste your time. And the reason we do that is because, spiritually speaking, if you do this the right way, and understand, people have to and should come to you. You should never go out asking for services, because that's not right. So if they want you, they'll find you. Anywho,
Emily, I love you, Emily. You're great.
But
But you're welcome to come and learn if you'd like. Sweet soul.
Exactly. So
Now,
yeah,
tell us about your introduction to therapy and like how you allowed yourself to do that.
In seeing a therapist, well, I've always kind of wanted, I'm just going to say, I've always wanted to find a therapist. The issue is that what I found in therapists is they don't know how to help me because I kind of generally understand my emotions and feelings. And a lot of people don't. And that kind of throws a therapist off when you go in and you're like, okay, so this is a situation. This is what happened. This is how I feel about the situation. This is how the situation made me feel. I'm not angry. I don't have animosity, but I just need to learn how to, better understand myself and how things are whatever. And so they don't tend to find that's hard for them to understand. And so I've had a couple of them meet with me a couple times. But then they're just kind of like, yeah, we can't really help you because you're pretty in tune with what you're doing, why you're here and how it's making you feel. You're just having the hard time kind of moving forward with that. And so I was like, okay, well, this lady is amazing and I absolutely love her. But she's really helped me understand that, I have to be nicer to myself. I think for a long time, I keep thinking that I'm like angry or being mean or projecting on people, but really what I'm doing is I'm hating myself. Like I'm really, really hating myself and the things that I say about myself, the things that I interpret about myself, it's constant negativity. And she's like, but you're literally, and this is one of the reasons why I loved her. She strokes my ego and tells me spirit is actually right a lot of time, which I need validation in because I'm not licensed. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. And so I'm just hoping on a wing and a prayer that I'm following my gut and intention the right way. Okay. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not. This is accurate. She told me the last session, she was like, I really think that it would benefit you to go to school to be a therapist. She was like, because you have this knowledge. I'm like, yeah, no, math. But she's taught me that I have to be as nice to myself as I am everybody else. And so I'm never going to be able to kind of live my path or do what I want to do or create what I want to create if I'm constantly worried about how everybody's perceiving me to be. The people who perceive me wrong or misinterpret what I'm saying or doing because I speak stupid sometimes, and I will say that's okay. I don't necessarily use the right words sometimes. But if they don't come and ask the questions, how are you going to have communication back with them? And so really my whole life I've lacked communication. And I need that. I need communication because it's a lot of people perceiving me the way that they want to perceive me, but not actually allowing me to give a response or some sort of validation as to what I meant to begin with. And so it's this complete lack of communication. So I'm not even learning how to communicate with myself. So I can receive spirit beautifully and I can tell people what spirit's saying because I'm literally just verbatim giving energy repeated. So it's almost like getting a script in the moment and reading it out loud to get a part almost. And so it's picking up all those pieces on spirit and relaying that to you guys. But when it comes to me, I'm a hot mess. I am a hot mess inside of my head. I'm a hot mess for myself. And I have really struggled with that my whole entire life. And she has really helped me to understand why I am the way I am and that it's actually a gift. It's not a curse. And so even though people may be triggered just by me being alive, which they are, it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I really feel wholeheartedly that you should be loved for the right reasons instead of hated for the wrong ones. And so I think that me being who I am is just a way. If people want to hate me for that, then they can hate me for that. But as long as I'm speaking my truth and truth for spirit, which is my job, then I know I'm doing it the right way. The issue with that is that a lot of the truth that I speak also goes against the spiritual community. So Crystal feels very alone in her own bubble sometimes because normal people don't want me because I talk about random crap that nobody wants to talk about. And then also on this end of the spectrum, the spiritual community doesn't like the way spirit questions them too. And so it's a lot of weird back and forth. And I'm like, if you guys could be in my head for 24 hours, if you think I get to escape this reality of questions and constant like self-reflection, you're wrong. You're wrong. They call me out all the time. They literally look upon me almost in this parental way. Like, did you really just say that? Let's tell you why this might not be the right interpretation. Like you were the wrong in this moment, Crystal. And it's not, I hold myself to the same standards I hold everybody else to. So, yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. but good and beautiful. And honestly, that was my aha moment. And I know I talk about it all the time, but I literally, it's free on YouTube. You can listen to Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Like, I let her read that book to me every night while I was sleeping. And I had to reprogram my brain. And I did a lot of it with Joe Dispenza, but all of it is finding compassion with ourselves. Because when we grow up and we go through our own traumas and dramas, and many of us become, our inner voices become the worst things that we've heard from the people around us. And then we beat ourselves up all the time. I would call myself a fat, ugly bitch all day, every day. You're fucking fat, you're ugly, you're worthless was huge. I like worthless forever. And this inner dialogue did not change until I had my aha moment after I went to the Rebecca Campbell Rise Sister Rise retreat in 2017. She was like giving a speech and talking about something. And then somebody had mentioned having an injury, and she referred to the Louise How You Can Heal Your Life book. And someone else had mentioned something around like something else around like mental wellness, but then it had to do with positive affirmations, things like that. And she brought it up again. And my mom was at that retreat with me, and she bought the book, and I was like half on my deathbed, like not good. And she literally started, she bought it because she knew I wanted it, and then she started reading it because she's like a book nerd, and she ended up like bringing it up to me, and she's like, she read it to me like I was a little kid, and it was amazing. And then I found it was free on YouTube, and I'd start listening to it every day. Now that works for me. We all have different things that work for different people, but like it takes a long time. And when it's like little kids, it's like teaching kindergarten. And when you hear a kid like, oh, you're smelly. Oh, well, that wasn't very nice, little Johnny. Like give little Susie 3 put-ups. You have to do the same thing with yourself. So if I called myself worthless, I'd be like, actually, Mandee, you're working really hard, and you're smart, and you're driven, and it's all good. It's okay. And you're kind, you're compassionate. And I'd have to practice the pause in my own mind, in my own heart and soul. And now it's like, we were talking about this earlier. Crystal was like, yeah, I feel like I could get a little calmer and you could get a little spicier. And it's so funny because I had times in my life where I was much more reactive. And now it's at the point too where I let things go so much sometimes because I so don't want to be in my ego a lot of the time. And it's kind of fun because I feel like my ego is very present tonight, and I'm very like, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times I'm like in this kind of in between space where I'm always just like, I'm in this state of observation a lot. And I'm so intentional because I realize just how powerful my energies and intentions and the words I say and the things I do and the actions I take and speak, how powerful it is and how strong it is. And I learned that after rewiring my mindfulness and the way I talk to myself. And here's the thing, none of us are taught this shit. None of us were taught this. It's very, very rare that we were allowed to be conscious and tell ourselves that we love ourselves and we're amazing. We have this wild society that operates on guilt, shame, criticism, and fear almost at all times. And even if you have a loving family unit, you might go to school and get bullied. You might watch a commercial and feel bad about yourself. Like, there's so many subtle things all the time popping up to keep our lights dim. And so you are not alone, Crystal. I was not alone. We all have our own different medicines, and everyone out there, like, that really is, I think, the biggest piece in making anything happen for anybody is where your mindfulness is at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one of these times, like I can probably, we could go into that a little bit more because that's kind of like when we were talking about my new logo, Teaching Love, Not Fear. That's kind of where that comes from, because fear is your mind is your most powerful tool. So anything you put fear into is going to create more of what you're fearing to receive. So you don't want it, yet you're creating it, and it's making it worse. And so that's like one of those things that I'm really flippin' passionate about, because if not for, yes, obviously I fear certain things in my life. Apparently success is one of them. And well, look at where I'm at. No, I'm just joking. But I'm like, yes. I have like these moments where, obviously I fear, but it's more self-fear than anything else outside of me, I guess. Why? I don't know. It's always just been kind of who I was. And when it comes to spirit, and this goes with all things in life, I guess, but when it comes to spirit specifically for me, is people always talk about that fear. And I'm like, you would be amazed at what you can do and how you can help break some of these things that are currently happening in our lives, not right now, just by loving spirit differently. And I think what people don't seem to understand is how much spirit plays into physical life and actual relationships. Like,
yeah.
we have to remind ourselves that we are spirit and human. We are spirit having a physical experience on this planet. And if you don't believe that, then whatever, more power to you. Probably not the show for you. But I fully believe that the spirit inside of us has been here many, many multitudes of times. Or maybe it's your first time around. I don't know. But there's going to be conflict inside of yourself in your head, in your heart, and in your gut. And a lot of people say, follow your gut. Well, is it your gut or your heart? How do you know? How do you reflect? How do you, whatever. But also those fears that we have in our daily life are actually just triggers of different experiences that have happened at a different time. And so what are you really fearful? Are you fearful of death? Are you fearful of what it's going to look like or represent to you? Like, there's so many different layers, and it can all be kind of talked about in the spiritual form. And if not for understanding spirit better, I never would have learned how to understand myself better. And so when you're faced with this ugliness in front of you, and you actually take the time, because you're not scared, to sit with those emotions and sit with those feelings and really digest them for yourself, you can actually face things, and then you can love them to the other side, wherever that may be. And that's literally what we're doing when we're healing our own lives. Like, that's what you're doing when you're healing you, when you're loving you better. You're learning how to love all those people who have come before you. And you're also learning how to give love and reshape and reteach with love all the generations that come after you. And so you're literally healing lineage on both ends of the perspective. Here you are, this little beacon of light sitting in the middle of this string, forcing your love out in all these different ways. And that's what we are as empaths. So you're literally healing both ends of the spectrum. And so it's like, people want this. They want this beautiful, healthy planet. They want these things, but we don't want to go back and receive the past in a way where we learn. Instead, we're receiving the past with hate and animosity and how dare we. Okay, yeah, those are pretty gross experiences. I get that, but it's because you're fearful of it happening again. You're fearful of it repeating itself. And so you're refusing to sit with those emotions because of the fear you're experiencing in those emotions. Instead of embracing that it was the past, it really hurt. And maybe even on some wavelength, you know that you might have been a part of it in some way, shape, or form. So you really don't want to revisit it. And it's ugly. But you know what? It's also beautiful once you break free through that experience and see the person and see the experience through their eyes and understand some of those hard past moments that people don't have the ability to change for themselves. Or maybe they were just shitty people. But the thing is, once they get over there, they're not. The reason they're still crappy here on this plane is because they haven't received the love on the other side that they deserve, which is affecting you and not giving you the love that you deserve. And so it's all connected, like a big giant spider web. My guides give it a big golden spider web, and each point is each connection.
Love.
But it's each point, and we weave that through our life, and we have all this beautiful web that's existed before us, and it doesn't go away. So it's kind of amazing. And I wish people understood that fear is something that they can help themselves through. And fear is not something we have to experience if we choose not to. And it is a choice. It's a hard choice. It's a working choice. It's a everyday getting up and tasking yourself, looking in the mirror and say, well, today's a choice. I got choices today. Don't feel like I have very many choices today, because here is the black and white world giving me these choices that I don't want to decide. But at the end of the day, they're still
You
choices.
Always have a choice. Even if you are locked up in a hospital, if you're injured, if you're hurt, if you're in prison, like, you always have a choice about what goes on in your mind and what goes on in your thoughts. And we don't think that. We're not taught that. And we have this crazy autopilot thing and ego going on, but we always have a choice. And Nelson Mandela, I think it's Nelson Mandela has a famous quote that says something about, like, I'll look it up and get the exact one, but it's something that references basically the fact that if I don't leave all of my anger and all my hate and all my regret in here when I leave prison, I'll still be in prison when I walk out. And, like, he wanted to leave all of that behind him and, like, truly start fresh. And he knew if he brought all of that stuff with him, he wouldn't be in that perspective. And that's how powerful it can be. It truly can be your own prison that we create. Oh my gosh, we have so many comments.
I know. I'm reading them as we're talking, and I'm sorry I went on a tangent. I'm sorry. But that's like one of the things. I feel like if we learned how to not fear, it would just be a better world.
Huge. And we're taught to fear. So it's very radical. Crystal and I's first show was called Radical Spirituality. And it's very radical to face the fear.
So
Wednesday Addams is helping all of us with that on Netflix.
I have Sophia here. She says, I love that your brother is a chef. My brother, who passed away, was so good in the kitchen and worked food service since he was 16. He could have totally run a badass restaurant. I love that.
Aww.
Please stop. Please stop intuitive. This is not a space for.
Oh, Heather
okay. Sorry. I can't read, and I'm sorry. I apologize. So, Jennifer says, yes, I found you ladies. And then you're so right about incarnating in family systems. My daughter is teaching me how to use my voice and stand up for myself in the moment. And my son is teaching me about embracing my sensitivities, and that it's a blessing, not something to hide. And I love that. My son is wonderful. He's gotten a couple things for me, but I got to tell you, he is far more put together than most people I know. And I'm 42 years old. I swear he was a guide. We're not going to do that today because it's 4:30. But there's like this whole thing. He never should have been born. He should not be here. I'll just put it that way. And so it's funny to me. I really believe that he's a guide, not a child. And so I think that he was just here to kind of help guide me through situations. And he did great. Same with me. I finally found one that takes me for what I am and all with me instead of leading. Sorry. And I do believe that was in reference to Mo. So,
you thought it was in reference to the therapist.
It could be in the reference to the therapist. I kind of thought it was Mo. We're still up in the Mo comments. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm getting your words wrong. You can let us know. Jennifer says she's had a reading by me. Thank you. Amazing. I'm grateful it was. And I can also attest that anybody here, Sophia, I know, has had a reading by Mandee. Mandee's my reader. Amazing too. So you can find her on Sea Goddess, which is in the description. And Emily, she says that she can relate to the search for a therapist. Do you have any tips since you found this one? Ooh. No. Actually, I don't. I'm going to let Mandee handle that one. And the reason I'm going to say that is I don't. Actually, my husband had to find this therapist for me. And Ben sometimes is better at reading people than I am because I tend to see through my trauma lens. I see more from I'm just going to say this way instead of this way. And so he actually found the therapist because he had just switched over to new insurance. So he just called people until they responded back, and this is who it is. And she's absolutely amazing. So Mandee, what is your tip?
It's very simple. It's about making sure you find and feel like someone's in alignment with you, like you're being seen and heard, but also that you're not like, people aren't just like placating you and telling you everything you want to hear kind of thing. And I was never a formal actual mental health counselor, but I did a lot of like work in undergrad with that. And then I also was a case manager for a long time. And I worked at Colorado Coalition for the Homeless for a long time, and with all kinds of women in transition and really cool programs. And I got to be, I got to be a counselor, but not a therapist. And so I'm also someone who has been to my own therapist many, many times throughout my years. I was that kid who got thrown right in it because of all the trauma and drama as a kid. So like I grew up with it. And what I recommend and encourage is, like Crystal said, actually, you did give great advice. Wait until you have a right fit and maybe don't give up on it. And the interesting thing about what's going on in the therapy world is many of therapists are in a similar consciousness to everyone, to all of us. And they were taught certain things, and they were taught more to enable as opposed to empower and to give skills and to help create this more cognitive thinking, because there was concern about creating kind of, damage with our thinking. But now people want that. They want the aha moments. They want things to click. They want to feel better. And as therapists are learning and doing their own work and growing together as an industry, we're all doing that too. And so some people are going to be on your level. Some people aren't. Not everyone's meant for you, and you're not meant for everyone. So it's so important to not just give up. So many people go to one session and then that's that. Or you'll show up. I have an ex who showed up to a first session and cried the whole time. And they didn't want to go back after that because they're like, well, I just cried the whole time, so I don't want to go back. And we're like, but that was part of it, you know? And sometimes that'll come up, just holding the soul space. So allow the feelings, allow whatever happens, and just, I encourage you to give it a chance. And it's okay to say no. And hey, this doesn't feel like a good fit, but I'm going to keep searching on someone that is a good fit for me. And maybe get clear on what it is you're wanting out of therapy. Maybe have like a bit of a, this is kind of what I want. This is what's going on. This is bothering me, or this is something I can't quite wrap my head around, or this is something I want to empower myself with, or this is a trauma that's, you know, coming back up. Maybe have a bit of a goal for your own self, and then it can help lead your sessions.
Oh, I love that. That was great advice. And I thought this was funny because of what you're talking about. She says, funny insight. It was a nurse practitioner in psychiatry that first told me about you, Crystal. You blew her away with a reading of one of her patients.
Cool.
Interesting. Neat. I don't remember, but neat. I always like hearing certain validation. Terry, I've always known that I was put on this world to help people, but I don't know how. Do my guides think so too, or do I have another path? I love this question because everybody is dying to know why we're here. And I'm going to tell you the answer. We human things up too much with our brain and trying to make sense of the almost insensible. I don't know words, Crystal. See, this is why I don't talk well. But really, we're just here to be good people and figure our crap out. Okay. So I like to let people know that so I don't believe that you have to be in a job of healing to be a healer. Some of the most beautiful healers and teachers are people who maybe work janitorial staff at schools. Have you ever had your child affected in a beautiful way by a janitor at a school? My son still talks about his high school janitor. Everybody loved him, okay? You can be a cook in a kitchen. You can be a server at a restaurant. You can be a factory worker that's teaching somebody maybe how to different love themselves and understand that they're doing the best they can do, even in this job situation that maybe they're not being respected or paid what they want and really tired, but they're showing up and they're there. We're put everywhere in every position. And so to say if you're here to help is kind of one of those like, I love you, Terry, oxymorons, because yes, we're here to help. All of us are here to receive our own light and then give that light away in some sort of way. But once again, we can only do from where we are at. So wherever you are working in McDonald's, I don't care where you're at. You're meant to be here to help heal the earth in some way, shape, or form. And that literally can just be by being a nice human. So yes, you are here to help people. No, it doesn't have to be anything crazy versus what you're already doing. You're the person who likes to stop and buy people coffee or hold a door and say, hey, I hope you have a great day. You may look like you're having a bad day, but I hope you have a better. That right there could be the difference between life and death in a human being. And we never know what that looks like because they're never going to acknowledge their struggle in that moment. But you literally just could have changed the course of the whole trajectory of their day and or life. And so don't ever discount what one good deed does. We're all helpers of this earth.
We are. And one of my favorite definitions of a healer is someone who triggers within you the ability to heal yourself. And a lot of times it's that little shift in perspective. And like you said, whether it's just holding the door for someone, that could be the difference in a human's life or death that day. And we make huge impacts. Should I pull a card real quick?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this was for Terry, right?
Yes, it is. Hold on. Boop. I'll highlight her to get the energy all upon her.
Ooh, so I just pulled a few cards just to see. You're going to love this. Just to see what kind of energies we have going on. So first of all, we got the Air Guardian, shift your perception. I'm telling you, it's like one of those things you hear about this all the time. Perception, perspective, perception, perspective. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. What does that mean? All right. I'm telling you, one day you will have an aha moment where you're like, whoa, everything in my consciousness just shifted. And a lot of times it's something little or a small sliding door moment as a result of love or something like that. But allow yourself to shift your perception. I really loved this. It's controversial and everything, but during the whole COVID chapter, we still have it a little bit, but in the darker days, there was so much controversy and all these different, conspiracies and different stuff going out and perspectives. And I'm like, this is like the gauntlet of go against your beliefs and grain and go on the other side and listen to their story, see what's going on there, dive a little deeper, see what you can do. I watched this documentary on how all mountain ranges are actually tree stumps because we used to have like a giant world and giants used to live here and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, maybe not. But either way, watching that happen was like, then I'm flying in airplanes looking down at mountains like, are you a tree stump? I don't know. Who knows? I am never going to have the answer to that probably, but I loved that I had the new and different perspective. And I'm like, I never saw it that way. I never even saw that could be a possibility, and it becomes magic. So allow that to help with the air guardian there to shift your perspective. Then you get the moon. Take note of intuitive messages. Really a time to tune into your intuition, to see what exactly is coming for you, what is happening for you, and what ways you're wanting to share yourself and your gifts into the world. And intuition is a really cool thing that serves us all day, every day. And it can be the littlest thing of like, oh, I don't want to go around this corner. Or, happens to us all the time. You think of someone like one of your friends or family members, you're like, oh, I'm going to call them. And all of a sudden they're calling you. And you're like, whoa, this is awesome. And it can happen in really big, amazing moments also. But tune in, get clear on what your intuition is trying to tell you. And then last but not least, Terry, here's some serious confirmation. The magic guardian. Unlock the magic within. Your guides certainly know that you have so much magic within you and certainly support you along your path. And I think that we all have, you mentioned you have another path. I think for me, when I would journal over and over and over again on what my purpose was, it would always come back really simple. And it was like to help guide, teach, and lead people into self-love and their own spirit and connection with spirit. And I'm like, well, that's cool and great, but also really generic. Okay, that's not special. We all want to be like, I'm the, river healer and I do this and I'm the medium and whatever it is, right? And so what we come to learn, and Crystal and I talk about this a lot, is that the magic and the senses and the communication is in the subtle realms. And it's actually at a much softer vibration and frequency in order to tune into all of it and to actually hear it. So just know you're always on your path. You're always going to be walking it, but it is really important to allow yourself to tune into your intuition and allow that magic to unlock from within you. And you're well on your way. And your path will always be with you no matter what. You can't be on the wrong path as far as I'm concerned.
So I love everything. I love it all. And I will also just add in, anybody who may watch this now or in the future, political debates, religion debates, all those things are a moment to just take a pause and receive and be like, what is this teaching me? Especially if you're like, well, that isn't true, or that's not how I feel. Take a moment and pause. I've learned a lot of things about myself through spirit that, it has changed my whole entire outlook, not only on the world as I see it, but also politics and religion. I don't have any of those things anymore. It just is. And so it's really neat once you finally just take that deep breath and spirit gives it to me. It's like you're standing on this cliff and it's dark outside and you can hear the waves at the bottom crashing. It's terrifying, but you can't see anything, and you're like, there's fog and you don't know what's going to happen if you fall off that cliff, but you're being chased and you're right at the edge. And they're like, jump, we're going to catch you. And we don't like to jump because we don't know what's waiting for us, but we're always caught. Literally, if you're sitting here with me right now, we've already survived 100% of our worst days. So we're all here right now in that moment anyway. And so what's the worst that could happen if you go all in and really try to figure out this love thing? A lot of times we stop ourselves right before we make that big thing out of, once again, fear. But it really helps us open up to the perspective of all. And so take that leap, Terry, do what the Mandee says and start thinking and dissolving and digesting these things a little bit different, because it's funny how insignificant we are, yet so significant at the same time. it all goes hand in hand. Like there are people all over the place that have no clue who the F crystal is, but there are so many people who do. And those people who have had amazing experiences through spirit because of that. It's not me necessarily, it's spirit, but at the end of the day, that's all so very important to the growth as a whole. So I think that's pretty awesome. I love that.
It is. And you're all awesome. And thank you all so much for being here and holding all the space. And if you're just tuning in or if you've been with us for a bit, we've been chit-chatting mostly about all this wild energy rising. We've got Mars retrograde going on with Mercury retrograde into Capricorn new moon, which forgot to mention that. That's like our inner, like, get shit done and organized and like knock things off the list. And then at the same time, we have all this really conflictive energy going on within ourselves and other things. So it's a really good time to stir our own pots, if you will, and to take that leap and, you know, see where our hearts and our angels and guides want to help us land. And you have to show up and do it for yourself. And I did want to say to Terry too, another step, and this is for everybody, sometimes when we don't totally feel like it or we're not sure what our path is or anything, just showing up for yourself with like a non-negotiable spiritual practice, which is really famous in the spiritual world. And my favorite teacher, Rebecca Campbell, talks about it. It's really where a lot of the magic happens. It's where, and you don't feel like it or you don't know what's coming through, to just show up. Maybe it's like, I don't know how to work with my intuition, but I'm going to just try to practice a skill each day that's supposed to help me get better at it, whether it's intuitive writing or going for, you know, a nice walk in the woods or doing some meditation or some chanting or whatever it is, or maybe recording your dreams or letting yourself be in dream space. So there's so many tools out there that can invite you in, but you do have to show up for it. You got to rip that Band-Aid off and do it, like Crystal was saying.
I really wanted to fit into a box, Mandee. I don't know about you when you started this out, but I really wanted to know who I was and what my purpose was and why am I here and why did this open up in me and like, where am I going? I'm so excited. And essentially they were like, calm down, killer. You're great, but we need a minute with you first, so pull her back. And it was a lot of that in the beginning, but finding out that I'm not a box. I'm not a box girl. Okay. I called myself a psychic medium for the longest time, and I detested that because I'm not a psychic. I don't do psychic crap. I know that I see certain things or perceive whatever I do. But I don't think that I believe in psychic energy the way that it's written and the way that it's been portrayed. I believe in things differently.
There's the magic perception word and perspective. And the interesting thing about it is, though, it's an umbrella, which is the hard part at this time. And now we're all getting in tune with who we are and what we're actually doing. So I'm sure it served you and it served everyone else. It helped clients connect with you. And then they found out, oh, this is what Crystal actually does.
They were like, why can't you just be all of that and accept it? Because on some level we are, as healers. You know, you're a medium, you're an intuitive guide, you're so many things, an angel healer. You're so many things wrapped up into this beautiful gift that is you, that sometimes we forget all of the power that is us. And we try to focus on the one thing at a time. And Spirit's like, bro, we're not holding you back. You're holding yourself back. Like, we're trying to give you the all. And you're trying to say, but no, I'm a psychic. No, I want to predict the future. And they're like, bro, like, that's not important. Futures come in regardless. I think everybody knows what's happening. But we have all this that will help this if you just give us this. And it's us that holds us in that state because our brain says we have to do these things. And so it's just once again, it's that funny flip that if you do really talk to spirit or you are talking to spirit or whatever, they're gonna flip it on you a little bit and help you see through the viewfinder a little bit differently than if you weren't to have that viewfinder in front of you. And it's just really funny how much we human our lives up a little bit with understanding stuff. So I love them.
Trying really hard.
We're doing the best we can. And it's really funny when you realize that you were the problem in the situation to begin with, because then you're like, oh, well, Woo!
And the cool thing about it, radical again, is you get this radical responsibility, and you're like, the only one who I have to, blame right now is myself. And whether that's setting a boundary, whether that's pushing ourselves too hard, whether that's talking shit to ourselves, like we were discussing earlier, or not showing up for whatever our goal is. That's how it goes. But there's reasons for it. And we were taught to be on this autopilot. We were taught to not think about stuff. So have grace with yourselves so much. Go, Crystal.
So it's 4:51. Okay. And we have the
7:51.
Right. Yeah, 7:51 for all of you ones, and in between, I'll say.
Yeah.
So
in the afternoon,
right around the corner, and I was curious if maybe you could pull some cards for us as a whole on what to expect from the new year while I get to some of these comments, because we have amazing comments. And I'm just going to say a quick thank you, Heather, Jill, and Sean, because they all said pretty much, thank you, Crystal. You're awesome. You're doing the best that you can. And I appreciate you for understanding that. And Sean also stated that I had helped her son at some point in time understand he's gifted. And so even though his perception might be that he's different from everybody else, it's because he sees and receives a little bit differently. And I think that's awesome. And then Kayla says, self-love is definitely something I need to work on. I'm still learning. Right here with you, Kayla. Right here with you. Sean, self-love is so flipping hard. I'm trying to figure it out too. I am going to just tell you, like, Mandee is beautiful for this. She has taught me a lot. And I actually sit with the child within me now. And it all came about because of a soul circle we had, Mandee. And I can't remember which one it was, but we had to re-love ourselves. And ever since then, I have been meeting myself with love, and everything that I might not meet myself with love in the moment. And I actually will take and I will embrace myself and say, Crystal, I love you. Like, I am here for you. Like, I receive you. I'm proud of you. You are, and it depends on what I'm experiencing in the moment, because I have this little Crystal that wasn't always loved the way she needed to be. And so I meet her with love too. And so if I see me in a situation kind of being that little Crystal that's triggered by something, I will go back and I will say, look, I wasn't there for you. I wasn't there for you. I didn't make those proper choices and decisions. And I didn't do all the right things for you, but I'm asking you to see me different now because I'm learning and I'm growing, and I didn't have this. And so I love you and I'm here for you. And I hope you can trust me again at some point in time and rebuild that trust with my past self that wasn't always fully received all the time. And I'm really doing that on almost a daily basis. And it's actually really helped me meet myself with love. Meet yourself with love the same way you would your child, almost. I think sometimes is the best thing. Sometimes I'm like, Crystal, that was such a stupid thing. And no, Crystal, it wasn't a stupid thing. I can see how that might be what you're thinking. But if you look at the situation and you understand where you were at, it was kind of a mistake. And so it wasn't stupid. It was a mistake. And you took responsibility, and I'm proud of you. I legit re-talk to myself like a child. Like, I'm reparenting me. Because
that's legit the work. This is the work everyone is after. Everyone wants to do. Crystal just gave you a clear example of what that is.
All the time, y'all. But at the same time, like, it's really helped me receive myself better and be more patient with myself. Just like my son taught me to be patient with him and respectful of him. Like, it was so natural when it came to me and him. I don't know why I destroy myself differently than I did with him. And to realize that sometimes we're all just throwing a temper tantrum because our whatever need wasn't taken care of here or right in that moment. We all have to remember that the past, present, and future all exist together. And so that little version of yourself is existing in you at this moment, watching what you're doing, just like your children are watching what you're doing. And they're saying, but you made this mistake and it was detrimental to us then. Why'd you make the same mistake now, you stupid fool? And then you're hard on yourself because on some level, you're punishing yourself for not seeing the pattern repeated again. And you really have to go back and say, okay, yeah, but I was taught this. This is how I see life. And so, yeah, you know what? I'm learning and I'm growing, and I love myself for getting through this day. It might be hard. It may not end the best that I want it to be, but I thank you guys for understanding. I'll meet this challenge again tomorrow differently. And so at the end of the day, I'm proud of you for meeting the challenge the first time, and we'll do better the next time. So give peace. And that's kind of,
and then that's back to the present.
Yep, and then back in the moment. Back in the moment. I'm gonna let Mandee get to her reading and stop talking. I feel like I've talked a lot this today, and we have not done, but it all had to be said apparently, because that's how spirit works.
I feel
So
like I talked a lot today. I was all like, and I'm usually not, so that was great. I did want to just like give a quick like through our comments real quick because we had some really great ones too. We talked all about, Sophia said that her inner dialogue about not feeling good enough. And she mentioned having readings with me. Thank you, which is awesome. And you and Ursula and Mystic Michaela, who I don't know yet, but yes,
she's beautiful.
awesome.
She's the numbers book lady.
The what?
She's the numbers book lady. She's the lady that wrote the numbers book. She's amazing.
Beautiful. So yes, we certainly love that. And then Heather said that she wanted to schedule some time with Ursula and Mystic. So that's coming soon. And we love holding soul space with you, Heather. And we're very proud of you. I know I can speak on Crystal's behalf with that too. And then Emily said, thank you. This is a corral of, thank you. Oh, there we go. This is the corral of questions that flood me, feeling all of the things and all of the identities of different timelines like echo into this moment. I feel that echo in this moment. Yes. Inga said, my gosh, love and forgive yourself. It really makes a difference. It's so hard, but the work is worth it. Love and forgive. It's true. It is true. It is true.
I love that, Inga.
Right. And then Sophia also said, if you're looking for Akashic stuff that she recommends, she said she got her recommendation from Crystal for Garrett Petrov.
Yes, Garrett is amazing. He does blueprints. He does your Akashic records. He does blueprints, but he does a whole lot of other stuff too. He also teaches us how to do. I just find Garrett on Facebook. He's amazing. But he actually helped me realize some of my soul blueprint, and it was interesting because that was like one of the first things that I did in my journey, and it helped me understand some things. So it was interesting.
Perfect. And Glenda also said that I love a call him from a distance. Yep. Love him from a distance, Beth. And then Glenda said she had a reading with Garrett, which is awesome. Heather said, thank you, thank you, Sophia. And Emily said, thanks for the tips about finding a therapist, that was helpful, especially goal setting. Awesome. And then if it's either Alicia or
Alicia.
Alicia. That's right. We've asked you before. Yes. She said she would love to find a counselor who is spiritual. There are more and more out there. That's basically what I do. I'm an intuitive ascension guide, which is basically a life coach with a spiritual twist. So, and I'm really lucky to have a lot of background in helping people to deal with and process traumas and dramas. And I get to see some past life stuff too. So I call it holding soul space. If you ever want to hold some soul space, just reach out and let me know. And I do know that so many counselors, they have no choice but to tune into their spiritual side. And in order for them to evolve, for all of us to evolve, we have to tune into our spirit side. And so there's many out there exploring it, in tune with theirs. And I have the utmost confidence that you will find a nice fit. And then let's see, in a reading with Mandee in a recent soul contract, my primary goal in this life is just to live and be. I love that. And by living my best life, I'm showing others how they can too. That's it. I need to live. And yes, it's that simple, like Crystal said. Yo, Sophia, everybody out there, that's what it comes down to. The only thing you can do is tune into yourself and then lead by example. And like
I hate to jump questions, but after you said that, she said she will definitely be reaching out. And actually, I do believe I know her. She's been a client of mine, and I'm just gonna say, like, I believe you would be a perfect fit for her and some of the things that she's experienced. I actually think you would be amazing for her. She got catapulted into this spiritual journey abruptly and in the most worst way. I'll just put it that way. But she's beautiful and she's growing and she's wonderful. And I feel you, Alicia, because sometimes it's really hard when we don't understand ourselves. So
it is. And I try to really help people find at least a little inkling of purpose to their pain and figure out why that perception and perspectives came in. And there's just so much that we can talk about. So I hope we get to hold soul space. And before we do our little reading, I always, at the end of our show, I always offer a 50% off coupon. So if you want to hold soul space with me, check out SeaGoddessHealingArts.com. And if you type in Mandee Live on any of my services, it'll give you 50% off. So that's for everybody. And I always remind everyone at the end of the live, because I just want to help people help themselves. So that's there. And then do we have any more comments?
Well, Terry, after you gave her your reading, she said, the people I work with tell me often that I lift their spirits, and I really don't really do anything. I'm just being me. And that's how it happens. That's literally what it is. It's amazing that when you figure out some of the gifts that you have or possess, like your ability to see, hear, feel, and experience on different levels, you actually start to see those kind of mirrored back at you through the interactions of others. Just like Mandee said, sometimes you're thinking about your family and then all of a sudden, poof, they call you out of the blue and you're like, oh my gosh, because they were thinking about you the same time. So it's this connectiveness, and that's kind of what it's about. And so I love that. See, you're reaching out with your energy. You're feeling things out before you even know that you're feeling them out on a human level.
Our energy speaks for us. Especially everyone in this room. You're all very magical, sensitive beings and empaths and beacons of light. And even on your worst day, you make people feel better. Just you want to might be hiding in the corner, and people are still going to be looking at you for for love and light and guidance. And you don't even have to say a word. You just transmute the energy by being we're all crystals. We're all magical.
We are all crystals. We're fun. Prisms, y'all. We're all the prisms.
All of them. Glenda.
I know. I saw her comment and I had to chuckle because I just see it and I hear it in her voice. And if you've ever heard Glenda talk, she's got the most amazing accent. I love her. Yes, same. She's also spicy. I wanted to wake up and just know what the heck I was supposed to do. And Spirit doesn't give that to us, so it ruffles our feathers. And then Emily, yes, Sophia, she says yes. And my commenter isn't allowing me. There we go. Emily says, glad that we all could be together. This cauldron of energy always leaves me a bit warmer. Aw, it's always a new special space to create. I absolutely love that. And that's why we show up. We try most Mondays. And she says she's going to be reaching out to you. Soul Space with Mandee is awesome. She always makes me feel better. Crystal has helped me with my understanding, and I agree. And that's the end of the comments.
Before we get
so we're gonna get to the juicy center of this, which I know all of us kind of want to know what Mandee, her angels, and her cards have to say about this new year coming up. And I think the retrograde stuff stops, isn't it, on the 18th?
Around then, we'll have to consult with the Ursula.
It was like the great and powerful Ursula, who also is she has the I can't ever remember the name of her show. It's Chiron something.
Yes, she's got an incredible podcast out, basically called Becoming Chiron. Yes. And it specifically talks about her journey and the journey that so many women in particular, people are going through in their early 40s right now. So insightful. Yeah,
so insightful. If you have any need to know about energy, and she puts it out, I mean, like she's very good. She's very good at describing and putting it in like terms where people like me who can't math can understand. So I'm telling you, like Ursula puts this good out. And so if you ever want to know what's happening in the energy right now, please locate her on YouTube and find her stuff because it's awesome. And with no further ado.
So, also one other announcement, 2 announcements I want to make. Number 1, we're going to be hosting a Sea Goddess retreat in Florida in the springtime, Fort Lauderdale, and option to discover scuba diving and do some scuba diving if you want to. It's all about connecting with your breath. And if not, we have alternatives. So keep your eye out for that. And then starting next week, Lexi, our mermaid in the mountains, and I will be starting a class called Shadow Twerk. And it's all about helping you to do the shadow work. And we come up with these cool little twerkouts, but basically some of it will be a little bit of dance and movement, positive affirmations. We're going to teach you guys all, like, we'll go through the chakra systems and pair things with that. And it's going to be this really nice interactive environment. If you can't make it live, that's okay. You'll get a recording and you can do your own shadow twerk out for the week in your own private, amazing time. And there's details to that on our website, and it'll be every Wednesday at noon on Zoom, East Coast time, so 9 a.m. West Coast time. And like I said, it'll be recorded, and we'd love to have some of you there. So it'll be a fun, cool group class in order just to help support and do some of the work and the twerk and during this new season and our new Gregorian year. So, and Sophia said, come on, 2023, give mama abundance. So our wise words from Louise are actually, I pay my bills with love as abundance flows freely through me. And I love this as I just left my restaurant side job today and I'm all back full-time sea goddess. And it's true because it comes back to that love thing. And when we get a little nervous that we're not going to have enough money or we got to pay this bill or we got to do that, the more we can bless it and say, thank you for letting me pay this electric bill. Thank you for letting me pay my cell phone bill. Like I have plenty of money and more is coming in. The more we can focus on that, the more we free it up. When we block it with fear, we then experience overwhelm and we block stuff from coming in. So, yay. And Sophia said she wants to go to the retreat. Awesome. All right. Now for our 2023 upcoming reading here. They are saying as we go into this new year, first we got this shaman, trust in higher forces. Shamans, there's all different kinds of amazing versions of them and they're ancient, but really what it is someone who's able to guide you through a transition, whether that's death itself, whether that's a new job, a family, different thing going on. Shamans are there to help us shift our perceptions, perspectives, to move energy and to help us to transition into the new. And it's so important to also trust in spirit, trust in our guides, and ask for help. Ask your angels for help. I will say it every episode. They are there. They want to help you, whether it's a parking spot, whether it's more time, whether it's a phone call from your best friend, more money. Angels, please help me. And they will. We get the mountain. It's important for us to stand our ground too. So many of us do know ourselves more than we think. It's important we grow. It's important we change our perceptions and perspectives. It's important we look outside the box, but it's also important to tune in to what our inner knowing is. And most of the time, at the end of the day, we know what is right and we know what is wrong. And it's so important for us to stand our ground in that. Have compassion, see through others' eyes, see what else could be out there. But at the end of the day, stay true to yourself and stand that ground. And it doesn't mean that you won't change or shift in the future, but it means at this time, it's important for you to tune into what feels good and to trust that. And then when the time is right, if you're supposed to move on that ground, you'll know, and you'll know what to do. You then get the Shield Maiden, which I love for the Capricorn new moon energy, and it's make plans and focus. And it is hard to do it in the winter time when it's dark out. And the cool thing is it's going to get a little lighter each day, but it's the time where we have to really tend to all of our inner resources and our own inner light. And it's important to release the things no longer serving us around us and focus on what does. And in order to do that, make a plan. Like I said, if you want to do some intuitive writing each day, make a plan, set a time. Maybe one day it's at 9 in the morning. Maybe one day it's at 5 at night. Maybe you switch it around, but do your best to give yourself a little bit. A lot of people don't like to make plans and I want to be free in my free time. But at the same time, we want to do that. But if we don't actually sit up and show up for it, it's probably going to pass us by. So it's so important to focus on that and allow that to come in when it feels good. And then I also pulled a Work Your Light card. These cards were from the Angels and Ancestors deck by Kyle Gray, which I love. And then last but not least, which is kind of beautiful right after Christmas, we get Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying the foundations, the divine plan. More confirmation about just relaxing and trusting. She's flying. Trusting what's out there and trusting that you are divine and you have a beautiful divine plan and you are held and you're amazing. If you're into kind of studying more, I guess, alternative versions of what happened with Jesus and his story here. There's so many different, obviously there's the Bible, but there's all kinds of other stuff. An amazing book is literally called Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, and Anna, Voices of the Magdalens. And then that they talk about how Anna was this amazing mystic who taught like Jesus and Mary Magdalene like alchemy, and like she was able to live underground for a long time and like worked with Merlin and all kinds of really neat things. So another perspective option, but that's a cool book I highly recommend. That's really fun to dive into. So just trust, know you're held, know you're loved, know you're safe and protected. It's important to trust in the higher forces, to stand your ground right now, and to make plans on how to honor your inner light and to guide it at this time. during the darkness.
So Spirit's saying, yeah, we see there's mountains in your life, but we're asking you to overcome those things by trusting in us a little bit more, taking the leap of faith off the flipping cliff, and not humaning up yourself too much, because remember, you're spirit. So kind of goes hand in hand with all the things that Mandee and I talked about today. I think that's awesome. Thank you, Spirit, once again. Poof, put a close on that. But yeah, I love it. And I do hope that all of you have a wonderful and happy new year. I don't know what it represents for you. I don't know if you guys are people who write down New Year's resolutions, whatever it is that you do. I just hope that you give yourself love while you do it. That's essentially all I'm hoping for. I gave up your resolutions a long time ago because I kind of go with seasons, and I just want to have, like, Crystal wants to be a nicer person to herself. And that's kind of like how I do things. And then I meet those needs until they've kind of been to a close. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff stirring in me over the past couple months. I don't do things the same way. I'm changing a lot since this move, and it's very rapid and different and weird. Things never thought we would change, but here we are changing. And I know you guys are going through it too, because we've seen it every week this whole year, or at least the last 6 months, and also on some of your Facebooks and stuff like that. So I see you. I see
Everything's changing. It's the new time. And like,
yeah,
we didn't think anything would happen and the whole world would get shut down, but here we are. Like,
yeah.
You know, like if we've learned that anything can happen, it really can. And Alicia also said that she wants to do a vision board this year. Totally support that. Vision boards are great, and it's a great time to get in tune and intimate with yourself. Go ahead.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of like how my guides did this to me, because I'm a visual person, yes, but I also need to really sit down with myself because I'm a little scatterbrained sometimes. So what my guide said is also write a manifestation. So it's like doubling the power. So when you do the manifestation board on the outside, it's not just the things that you want to see visually. Make sure that you write it down also in pen form, thanking the universe what you want to bring into it, and taping it to the back of it to double the force and give it actual intention. Because sometimes whether we like see the pictures or not, it can represent something different to us based on the mood that we're in, or even we can look at it and be like, yeah, whatever. So make sure you write that intention on it also, just to kind of double that manifesting power to go forward in your life. I think that's an amazing thing. I usually do one a year. So
I'm going to do that.
Love them. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mandee. I love you. And
last but not least, I wanted to show Emily. Emily said she wanted to see that book. So we've got Anna, Grandmother of Jesus by Claire Hartstrong, A Message of Wisdom and Love. And it's channeled. She's channeling crazy shit. So it's great. And then Anna, Voice of the Magdalens, which is by the same author, same channeler, but came out about 10 years later. And it's just dope and wild and a fun journey.
I love how you have like a whole book collection right there. I love that.
It's got too much shit on it right now, but I have a lot.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You got lots of books, and I love that. Mandee's a library, and I love that she shares it with us. So I hope you all have a great week, and I hope you have a great next weekend, and I hope that everything goes well for you. I'm just going to say many prayers of love, peace, understanding, abundance, and prosperity in all forms. I really seriously love all of you, and thank you for spending 2022 with us as much as you guys did, and having space with us and loving us through our dramas and traumas and crazies and ups and downs. You're beautiful people, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Mandee.
Love you all. SeeGoddessHealingArts.com. All the services, all the classes, all the retreats, all the stuff's listed there. You can find me there. You can find a link to Crystal's website there, all the stuff. And I echo, ditto, exactly what Crystal said. Happy, happy, merry, merry. Thank you to everyone. And it's going to be a great year. Sign up for Shadow Twerk class if you want some support in it, and reach out to us if you want to hold some soul space. We're just loving you, and we'll see you next year.
Bye, guys.